What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Scyushi, and today I'm going to be making a very quick, brief video to let you guys know why the end game sucks in Dying Light 2. Now, first and foremost, I want to say in my defense, I am not just outright calling this game terrible, okay? I love this game. Highly recommend it. Definitely you should play it for yourselves. However, there's a couple things that I think that players should know about before they start advancing too far into the main storyline. And the most important thing is that basically what happens when you end up beating the game is your character will end up retaining all of their stats and gear and so on and so forth, but it's going to kind of teleport you back a little bit further than the main story mission to a point that you can end up exploring the city, because basically the main story gets to a point where it kicks you out of the city for a little while. So you essentially end up going back to the city. However, there is a point in the main quest line where eventually the whole city gets covered in this disgusting fog, which completely ruined any incentive I had to go around and explore and stuff, because look at this sucks, dude. Like, just bleh. Why did the devs think that this was a good thing? So I wanted to have that as a big warning to let you guys know that if you plan on playing this game and exploring, don't rush the main story, okay? I'm so glad that when I got to the city, I basically explored like 90% of the game. I didn't do side quests, but other than that, I did everything else, and then I started rushing the main story. And I'm really glad that I did, because I was able to enjoy the city and its graphics and the draw distance, and all the different colors and vibrancy of it all. And it's really disappointing that it ends up getting, turned down to this. Now, what else ends up happening at the end game? Well, random missions in the open world. You can see there's a blue one over there. Sometimes you'll get a rare one, which is a yellow one. It's not consistent, but it can show up. And what it's going to do is have really tough enemies that you're going to end up fighting. It can end up giving you some really high-scaled gear. However, here's the thing. All of the enemies are going to end up being upscaled to your level, but basically they're going to end up dropping very similar gear to what they'd already dropped. So my point is that I was able to kill level, I'm level 8, and I was fighting level 6 zombies out in the open world, and they would drop like level 6, level 7 gear, because the game still tries to drop gear kind of appropriate to your level. Whereas now that I'm at the end game, zombies are way tankier and stronger, but are still dropping the same items. So that was really disappointing. Now, the best gear in the entire game is going to end up being gotten over by the dam. So this section you may or may not have seen, but basically the first time you go over here, it's going to be flooded. Now, it being underwater does not prevent you from exploring it. You can get all of the military chests, and you can get all of the hidden inhibitor chests, right? Now, here's the thing that you may or may not know is that chests will actually respawn every 5-10 minutes. This includes inhibitor chests, despite the fact that they don't show up on your map. So I actually have a run that I regularly do where I go into this area. I know there's an inhibitor here, an inhibitor here, an inhibitor here, and so on and so forth. I do my inhibitor runs because that's where you get the absolute best gear in the game. However, here's another negative point towards rushing the main story. Eventually, I don't know if this is a spoiler, but eventually this area gets drained of the water, which means that now I'm dealing with constant spawning infected, because when this place is underwater, no infected can spawn. So you're pretty much safe to just take your time and swim to all the chests and stuff like that. Technically speaking, I can run along the buildings a lot faster now, but it means that I'm constantly dealing with threats. And any of these military boxes is always going to end up having a rare infected that you're going to deal with, and they're upscaled to my level, so they're extremely tanky and take a long time to die. And then the items that I get out of them are lukewarm at best. So the inhibitor boxes is basically the end game, which is chest running, which is very annoying, because I ended up grinding a bunch of my gear to level 8, level 9, and then I started realizing, why am I chest running to grind this gear that's better for me so that I can what? Do more chest running? Because I don't really have incentive to explore because of the fog, and the open world missions, frankly speaking, don't give enough gear and enough frequency to end up justifying me doing that over just doing chest running. And that's kind of the big disappointing thing about the end game that I absolutely hated. Pretty much the best weapon in the entire game is going to be the PK crossbow, which you get for aligning with the PKs up to a certain point, because the PK crossbow is one of the only weapons, there are others, but one of the only weapons that actually scales with your character, which means that it's always going to end up having really good damage. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you won't get really good damage out of other stuff that's like this level 9 item that has like spark and flame and stuff. But in order to end up having these endgame items be really, really good, you need to have really, really good mods, which I've got another video that talks about how to grind zombie heads and so on and so forth. And if you've watched that video, you'll know that one of the best places to get zombie heads is actually an old Villador, where you basically end up fighting constant mobs over here while you have chase level 4. However, the last point that I wanted to make is that that becomes irrelevant if you've beaten the main story, because the chase level 4 enemies, the volatiles and all the other runners and stuff, now they're all scaled to my level, so I can't one-shot them. And I'm not getting any more zombie head trophies from these higher tuned enemies. I'm actually getting the exact same amount as I was getting at the beginning of the game. So frankly speaking, for my feedback for the devs, remove the fog and make it so that the endgame mobs actually give me endgame loot. Stuff that is, you know, gear that I cannot get any other way, right? Like, give me lots and lots of zombie heads so that I can end up upgrading all of my mods and stuff like that, rather than only upgrading like 1 or 2. Anyways, those are my negative points towards the end game that I most of all just wanted to have out as a warning to you guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, but otherwise have yourselves a wonderful day. Smash like, sub for more, buy the merch you want to support the channel, and have a wonderful day.